Hey everyone, welcome back. We're doing a deep dive today into some technical stuff that you wanted to learn more about.
Oh, yeah?
Oracle Communications Billing and Revenue Management, or BRM,
Yeah, BRM.
and its partner in crime, Pricing Design Center, or PDC.
That's right. We're going behind the scenes into telecom, billing, and pricing. It's
Yeah.
like um, peeking into the control room where all the magic happens.
Okay.
We're going to break down how these systems work together and how they manage all the product offerings,
Yeah.
all the charges,
Like
discounts, those counting
all
bundles,
the good stuff.
everything.
All right. So let's get into it. So the documentation mentions balance elements in BRM.
Yeah,
Sounds kind of technical.
it is a little bit technical,
Mm.
but think of balance elements like virtual accounts
Okay.
within VRM. They track different resources for customers.
Okay.
And it's not just about money, although they definitely handle your dollars and euros.
Sure.
But these balance elements also keep tabs on things like loyalty points,
Okay.
how many minutes you've used, how much data you've downloaded,
Okay.
even stuff like how many songs you've streamed
Oh, wow.
on a music
So
service.
it's like BRM has its own internal accounting system for
Sure.
everything.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
And it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
BRM doesn't just lump all these things together.
Okay.
It distinguishes between counters, which accumulate over time, like your loyalty points,
Okay.
and temporary balances
Yeah.
that reset after each use.
So you're saying like if I make a phone call,
Yeah.
the minutes that I use during that phone call are tracked as a temporary balance.
Yes.
And then it resets before
Reset.
my next call.
That's exactly it.
That's pretty clever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, it makes me wonder then
Mm-hmm.
about those family mobile plans
Yeah.
where everybody shares a pool of minutes.
Right.
Can BRM handle that too?
Absolutely. BRM can track balances across multiple services
Okay.
and even packages.
Okay.
So for that family plan, it can keep tabs on each person's usage. Make sure things stay fair.
Yeah.
No more worries about someone hogging all the minutes.
That's a relief for parents everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so BRM is tracking all this usage,
Right.
but how does it actually measure everything?
Okay.
Minutes are easy.
Yeah.
What about data usage
Well,
or streaming songs?
you're right. There are lots of different units of measurement.
Yeah.
And that's where ratable usage metrics, or RUMs, come in.
Okay. RUMs.
Yeah, they define how we measure things.
Okay.
Seconds for calls,
Mm.
megabytes for data, you name it.
Makes sense. Are all RUMs that straightforward though?
Not always.
Oh.
Some RUMs can get quite sophisticated.
Oh.
They use something called RUM expressions.
RUM expressions.
Yeah, which involve calculations.
Oh, calculations like actual math.
It can get a bit technical,
Okay.
but that's where the real power of BRM comes in.
Okay.
Imagine you want to charge different rates for peak hours
Okay.
versus off-peak hours
Yeah.
for a service.
Yeah.
A RUM expression can do that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It can factor in the time of day and calculate the charge accordingly.
So even though the RUM is measuring in minutes,
Yeah.
the actual cost could be different
Yeah.
depending on when those minutes were used.
It gives telecom companies incredible flexibility
That's really clever.
to create all sorts of pricing models.
Okay. So we understand how the usage is measured.
Right.
How does BRM actually put a price tag on everything?
Well, that's where charge offers come into play.
Charge offers?
Yeah, they're like the blueprints for how BRM handles billing
Okay.
to a specific service.
So is a charge offer like a recipe?
That's a great way to think about it.
Okay.
And these recipes can get pretty detailed.
Okay.
They specify things like the charge category,
Okay.
the effective dates, how to handle inactive accounts, tax configurations,
Right.
even how to align billing cycles for recurring charges.
Wow. So they're not just saying charge $10 per month.
Right.
There's a lot more going on behind the scenes.
Absolutely. For example, you have different categories for charges,
Yeah.
like usage-based charges, recurring charges, one-time charges, and even rollover charges
charges.
that let you carry over unused balances.
Okay.
There's also a special fold category, but that one's a bit more technical.
Fold charges. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
What are those?
Think of a fold charge as a way to manipulate balances.
Okay.
It can zero out a balance,
Okay.
meaning it completely resets it back to nothing.
Okay.
Or it can be used to convert one type of balance to another.
So like converting my loyalty points
Yeah.
into dollars
Exactly.
to pay for a service. That's pretty cool.
And BRM even handles those yearly subscriptions we all love.
Okay.
It tracks them and applies the charges correctly in advance,
Okay.
which are called cycle forward charges.
So it's not just tracking the usage as it's happening, it's also
in fact
managing
future charges.
future charges too.
Yes,
That's a lot for BRM to keep track of.
it is. But that level of
Yeah.
detail is what allows telecom companies to offer such a wide range of pricing plans and options.
Speaking of options, everyone loves a good discount,
Right.
right? Does BRM handle those too?
Of course, BRM uses discount offers to apply discounts to both charges and balances.
Okay.
And just like with charge offers, there's a lot of flexibility in how they're configured.
So are discounts just like a percentage off
Right.
the regular price?
They can get very complex. They
Okay.
can be based on the quantity you use,
Okay.
have filters to determine who's eligible,
Okay.
and even use those temporary balances we discussed to calculate other discounts.
Yeah.
They also have what are called triggers
Triggers.
to control exactly when they're applied.
So it's not just like a simple 10% off situation.
Yes.
There's a lot of
There's a lot of logic
logic and control.
or control involved.
Okay. And there's one type of discount that's particularly interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Snowball discounts.
Snowball discounts.
What are those?
Imagine a family plan or a corporate account where multiple people are sharing a service.
Okay.
A snowball discount distributes the discount across all the accounts in that group.
Oh, wow.
It's like sharing the savings.
Okay, so it's not that every individual gets the discount,
It's across the whole...
but the whole group
Yeah.
gets a certain discount.
Exactly.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
I can see how that would be appealing to
Yeah.
families or businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So we've covered charges and discounts,
Right.
which are like the individual ingredients.
Yes.
But what about combining different offerings together?
Okay.
Like those bundles and packages you mentioned earlier.
That's where things get even more interesting.
Yeah.
Bundles act as building blocks.
Okay.
They allow you to group different charge offers together.
Okay.
And just like with charges and discounts,
Yeah.
there are options to set prerequisites,
Okay.
define transition rules for upgrades or downgrades,
Upgrades and downgrades.
and even manage what are called generation change rules
Generation change rules.
for cases where technology evolves.
So like if I'm upgrading from 4G to 5G,
Exactly.
a bundle can manage that transition.
Precisely.
Okay.
And the level of control you have with bundles is amazing.
Yeah.
You can even decide whether add-on offers in a bundle should align their validity period
Okay.
with the start or end date of a base offer.
So it's not just about grouping things together,
No, it's much more than that.
but it's about defining how they interact with each
Right.
other over time.
You got it.
Okay.
It's all about flexibility
Okay.
and giving telecom companies the tools to create really compelling offerings.
Now, if bundles are the building blocks,
Right.
then packages take things to the next level.
Exactly.
How do they fit into all of this?
Well, a package combines multiple bundles together.
Okay.
Imagine creating a comprehensive telecom package that includes your mobile phone plan,
Okay.
your internet service,
Okay.
and even a streaming service,
Oh, wow. Okay.
all bundled together.
That's exactly the kind of package I'm always looking for.
Yeah, and with packages, you get even more features.
Okay.
You can set credit limits,
Okay.
define how balances are tracked
Okay.
for the different services within the package,
Okay.
and even restrict certain discounts from being applied.
So packages give you even more
A
control
lot more control.
over the overall offering. It's
Yeah.
like you're creating a whole ecosystem
No.
of services for the customer.
Yeah.
Now, the documentation also mentions some advanced BRM features like balance management
Right.
that go beyond these basic balance elements we discussed earlier.
Yes.
What's that all about?
That's right. Balance management lets you create different balance groups.
Balance groups.
Yeah, for even more granular control over how balances are tracked and used.
Okay, I need an example.
Okay.
My brain's starting to feel a bit overloaded with all these.
I mean, remember that family mobile plan we talked about?
Yeah.
Instead of just having one big pool of minutes for everyone, you can create separate balance groups for each family member within the plan.
Okay.
This prevents someone from using up everyone else's minutes.
Uh-huh. Now I get it.
Yeah.
So it's like creating
Additional buckets within the overall plan.
within the overall plan. Okay, that's a really smart way.
Yeah, it gives customers more control and transparency
Yeah.
over their usage. Now, another feature you might come across is sub-balances.
Sub-balances.
Yeah, they're all about handling balances that have different validity periods.
So like those promotional offers where you get bonus data
Exactly.
that expires after a certain time?
That's a perfect example.
Okay.
BRM can track all those different sub-balances,
Okay.
ensuring they're used correctly and don't expire unexpectedly.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
So we've covered a lot of ground with BRM so far.
we have.
But what about its trusty sidekick, PDC?
Yeah, PDC.
How does it fit into all this?
Well, PDC is like BRM's visual design tool.
Okay, so
Yeah, it provides a user-friendly way to create, modify, and test all those pricing components we've been discussing.
Yeah.
Instead of dealing with lines of code and complex configurations,
Yeah.
you can use PDC's visual interface to design and manage everything.
So it's like a drag and drop tool
That's a good way to put it.
for building pricing models. That sounds a lot easier than writing code.
Exactly. PDC simplifies the process, ensures consistency,
Eh.
and makes it much easier to publish those pricing configurations to BRM.
Okay.
It's all about managing complexity
Yeah.
and empowering users
Okay.
to create and manage those complex product offerings we were talking about.
This has been quite a deep dive so far.
It has.
I feel like we've just scratched the surface.
Yeah, we're just getting started.
But we've already uncovered so much about how BRM and PDC work. What's next on our journey?
Well, now that we have a good understanding of the basic building blocks, we can delve into some of the more intricate details and examples.
Okay.
Get ready to see those ROM expressions in action. And learn how they can create some really sophisticated pricing structures.
Oh, I love seeing how the technical details actually translate into real-world
It's going to get good.
billing scenarios.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
All right, so last time we were getting into some really interesting stuff with BRM.
Yeah.
We were about to dive into the world of RUM expressions and how they can create some seriously sophisticated pricing structures.
Yes.
I'm ready to see these things in action.
Great. Remember we were talking about how RUM expressions involve calculations?
Yes.
And could be used to create things like peak versus off-peak pricing?
Yeah.
Let's look at an example from the documentation. Imagine you're setting up a charge that's measured in minutes.
Okay.
Like for a phone call.
Okay, so far so good.
Right. But now you want to charge different rates depending on the time of day.
Right.
Maybe calls during peak hours cost more. That's where a RUM expression comes in.
So the ROM expression would look at what time the call was made.
Yes.
And then apply the right rate.
You got it. It's like having a mini program built right into the billing system.
That's pretty powerful. So even though we're measuring in minutes, the cost per minute could change based on when those minutes were used.
Exactly.
What other cool things can you do with ROM expressions?
All sorts of things.
Yeah.
You could create tiered pricing structures.
Okay.
Where the rate changes based on how much you use.
Yeah.
For example, the first 100 minutes could be one price.
Okay.
And then the rate goes down for minutes 101 to 200 and so on.
That's exactly the kind of pricing I see on my mobile plan.
Right.
It makes sense that ROM expressions are behind that.
Exactly.
What about those buy one, get one free deals or those discounts that kick in after you've spent a certain amount?
Absolutely. ROM expressions can be used to create all sorts of discounts and promotional offers.
Okay.
They're really flexible. And this level of customization is a game changer for telecom companies who are trying to design competitive and attractive offers for their customers.
It sounds like RUM expressions are the secret ingredient.
They kind of are.
Making all these pricing schemes work.
Yeah.
Now, the documentation also mentions that PDC can configure charges based on event attributes.
Yes.
What are those and how are they different from RUMs?
Good question. Event attributes are like extra pieces of information that are captured along with the usage event. Okay. So going back to our phone call example, the duration of the call would be measured by a RUM.
Right.
But an event attribute might be something like the caller's ID or the location where the call was made.
So it's not just about how long the call was.
Right.
It's about adding context to the call.
Exactly. And with PDC, you can use this contextual information to make even more specific pricing rules.
So give me a real-world scenario here.
Okay.
How would a telecom company actually use event attributes to price things differently?
Let's say you're a mobile operator and you want to offer cheaper rates for international calls to specific countries.
Okay.
You can use PDC to set up a charge offer that looks at the destination country of each call.
Okay.
That's an event attribute.
Okay.
And then applies the correct discount.
So if I'm calling my family in Italy, the system would recognize that and give me a special rate because of the event attribute.
It's secure. It's all about tailoring the pricing to the specifics of each usage event.
Yeah.
And it doesn't stop there. You could offer discounts for calls made during certain times of day.
Oh, wow.
Calls to specific area codes.
Okay.
Or even calls made using particular types of devices.
So basically any piece of information that's captured as an event attribute can be used to create custom pricing.
Exactly. It allows for a level of personalization and control that wasn't possible before.
It's like BRM and PDC are working together.
They are.
To create this incredibly detailed picture of each customer's usage.
That's a great way to put it.
Now, I have to admit, all this flexibility and customization sounds amazing.
It is.
But it also seems like it could get incredibly complicated to manage.
Yeah, it can.
How do companies keep track of all these different rules and configurations?
That's where PDC's visual design tools really shine. Instead of trying to decipher lines of code,
Yeah.
you can use PDC's intuitive interface to define these rules
Okay.
and see how they work together.
So instead of writing code, you're basically using a visual editor
Yeah,
to create the pricing logic.
exactly. PDC provides tools like impact categories
Yeah.
and zone models.
Impact category.
Yeah, which let you create pricing rules based on things like geographic location or service type.
Can you give me an example of how that works? I'm a very visual learner, so I need to picture it in my head.
Imagine you're setting prices for a mobile roaming service.
Okay.
With impacts categories, you can define different pricing zones
Okay.
based on the country where the roaming service is being used.
So if I'm roaming in Europe, I might be charged a different rate
Yeah.
than if I'm roaming in Asia.
Exactly.
Because those are different impact categories.
Precisely. And zone models let you define these zones visually using maps and other graphical representations.
Okay.
It makes it much easier to understand and manage complex global pricing structures.
That makes a lot of sense. It's much easier to grasp when you can actually see it laid out visually.
Right.
Are there any other visual tools in PDC that help simplify things?
PDC also lets you define something called value maps. Think of them like lookup tables.
Value maps. Okay.
Let's say you want to charge different rates for calls to different types of phone numbers,
Okay.
like mobile landline or toll-free numbers.
Okay, so you could create a value map.
Yeah.
It assigns a specific rate
Mm.
to each type of phone number.
Exactly. It's another way to add more detail and flexibility to your
yeah.
pricing configurations.
This is incredible. I'm starting to realize just how much strategy goes into designing these pricing models. For telecom, it's not just about picking a number.
No, it's a lot more than that.
It's about understanding customer behavior,
Right.
usage patterns, and all sorts of other factors.
You're absolutely right. And BRM and PDC give telecom companies the power to turn that understanding into sophisticated pricing models that can benefit both the company and its customers.
I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed by all this information.
I can imagine.
But in a good way. It's fascinating to see how all these pieces fit together. Where do we go from here?
Well, next time we'll delve into those balance groups we touched on earlier.
Okay.
And those interesting sub-balances. We'll also explore how BRM handles credit limits.
Okay.
And make sure customers don't overspend.
Yeah.
And of course, we'll see how PDC's visual tools make managing all of this a lot less intimidating.
Bring it on. I'm ready to dive even deeper into the world of BRM and PDC.
All right.
Welcome back. Last time we were talking about some of the really advanced things BRM can do, like those balance groups. I remember that example with the family mobile plan, where each family member could have their own separate pool of minutes.
Exactly.
So no one person used up everyone else's.
And that's just one way balance groups can be used.
Yeah.
What's really interesting is that you can have different balance groups for various services.
Okay.
Or even for multiple packages on the same account.
So let's say I have both a mobile phone plan and a home internet package from the same company.
Yeah.
Could those be managed with separate balance groups?
Exactly. This kind of flexibility allows the company to create more targeted and personalized pricing plans.
Yeah, okay.
They can even control how balances are shared or transferred between the different groups.
So going back to that family plan,
Right.
the parents could have the ability to shift some of their minutes
Yes.
to a child who might be running low.
Precisely. It gives both the company and the customer more options and control.
Yeah.
Which is always a good thing.
Now, you mentioned sub-balances earlier, and I have to admit, I'm still a little fuzzy on what those are all about.
Sub-balances are designed to handle those situations where you might have balances that expire at different times.
Like those bonus data promotions where you get extra gigabytes that are only valid for a short period.
That's a perfect example. Think about it this way. You sign up for a new mobile plan.
Okay.
And they give you a welcome bonus of 10 gigabit of data.
Okay.
But it's only good for 30 days. That bonus data would be tracked as a sub-balance.
Okay.
Separate from your regular monthly data allowance.
So BRM can keep track of both balances and make sure the bonus data is used up first before dipping into my regular data.
BRM can even handle those situations where a sub-balance only starts counting down once you start using it.
Okay.
Adds another layer of complexity.
Yeah.
But BRM can manage it all.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, while we're on the topic of managing balances, what about credit limits?
Oh, yeah.
It seems like that would be a crucial part of any billing system.
You're absolutely right. BRM has really robust features for setting and managing credit limits. You can define limits for specific balance elements.
Okay.
And you can even set different limits for different types of customers.
So a high-value customer might have a higher credit limit than a new customer.
And it can get even more granular than that.
Okay.
You can set up thresholds that trigger notifications to customers when they're getting close to their credit limit.
That's a nice touch.
Yeah.
It definitely helps avoid those bill shock moments.
It does.
When you accidentally go over your limit.
Absolutely. And you can even configure BRM to allow customers to temporarily exceed their credit limit in certain situations like emergencies.
Oh, okay.
It gives companies a lot of options for how they want to handle credit management.
It sounds like BRM has thought of everything.
It really has.
So we've talked about all these tools for managing balances and credit.
Right.
But what about actually applying the charges and discounts?
Okay.
I'm curious about how that all comes together in the billing process.
Well, that's where BRM's rating engine comes in.
The rating engine?
Yeah, based on all the charge and discount offers we've been discussing.
Okay.
The rating engine figures out the final amount that should be charged for each billing cycle.
So it takes all the usage data, the discounts, the bundles, the packages, everything we've talked about.
All of it.
And crunches the numbers to generate the bill.
Exactly. And it does all of this in real time.
Wow.
So as you're using the service, the charges are being calculated and updated behind the scenes.
That's pretty impressive. BRM is doing a lot of heavy lifting to make sure everything is accurate and up to date.
And it has to be incredibly reliable,
Yeah.
which is essential for any billing system.
Yeah.
Now, we've talked a lot about the technical side of things.
Yeah.
But I'm also curious about the user experience.
Okay.
How do customers actually interact with all of this?
That's a great question. It seems like it could be overwhelming for a customer.
It can be.
To try to understand all these complex features.
That's where customer self-service portals and mobile apps come in.
Okay.
These tools allow customers to view their balances, track their usage, manage their subscriptions, and even make payments, all in a user-friendly way.
So even though the back-end systems are super complex, the customer-facing side can be kept simple and easy to use.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
It's all about striking the right balance between powerful features and a seamless customer experience.
Well, I have to say, this has been an incredibly enlightening deep dive.
It has been.
We've gone from basic billing concepts to the intricate details of how BRM and PDC work together to create and manage these sophisticated product offerings.
It's been quite a journey.
Yeah.
But I think we've done a good job of breaking down the complexities.
I think so, too.
And highlighting the key features.
I feel like I could keep talking about this for hours, but it's probably time to wrap things up.
Yeah.
So for our listener, what's the key takeaway from all of this?
I think the biggest takeaway is that the world of telecom pricing and billing is constantly evolving.
Yeah, it really is.
New technologies and services are emerging all the time.
Right.
Which means these systems need to adapt and become even more sophisticated.
And with tools like BRM and PDC, companies can embrace this complexity and turn it into an opportunity to create innovative and compelling offers that meet the ever-changing needs of their customers.
Exactly. Understanding how these systems work is crucial because they are shaping the future of the telecom industry.
Well said. Thanks for joining me on this fascinating deep dive.
My pleasure.
I've learned so much.
And to our listener, we encourage you to keep exploring and learning.
Yeah.
The world of telecom is full of surprises.
It is.
And there's always something new to discover.
Until next time, keep diving deep.